All right, so today we're talking about an exclusive Mediaite story. Steven Crowder apparently sent photos of his genitalia and also exchanged drugs with ex-staff members in this very, 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 very creepy and very groomer-ish story. Steven Crowder has been a lightning rod for controversy since he launched his online show Louder with Crowder, but behind the scenes, his bombastic behavior has taken center stage with allegations of abusive behavior toward his estranged wife Hillary, as well as claims of toxic workplace behavior by former employees. Now, the fallout from the contentious divorce, as well as Crowder's alleged workplace misconduct, threatens to derail the enormously popular show that once landed its right-wing star with a $50 million offer from the Daily Wire. Mediaite spoke with 5 former show staffers and one source close to Crowder under the condition of anonymity due to fear of retaliation, who described a workplace rife with bullying, alarming and unpredictable behavior, as well as lewd sexual workplace misconduct. Earlier this month, after repeated suspensions, Louder with Crowder decamped from YouTube, where it commanded a mighty audience of 5.8 million subscribers, to Rumble, a less regulated, much smaller alternative. The show's audience has dwindled on Rumble to the point where his last 5 shows have averaged some 288,000 viewers, a far cry from the millions Crowder once saw per episode. And just a little quick comment, I don't sit there and watch Crowder's content like regularly, but even when he was on YouTube, each of his shows, million views easy. So if this is true, that is absolutely a fall from grace. The show's viewership troubles follow years of alleged misconduct behind the scenes. One former Louder with Crowder employee told Mediaite that during his time on the show, he received unsolicited, sexually graphic texts that included photos of Crowder's genitalia. Those texts and images were reviewed by Mediaite. In the moment, we dismissed it as sort of frat boy humor. In hindsight, it's super creepy and felt groomer-ish, the ex-employee said. It always felt like childish behavior in the moment, then felt predatory in hindsight, he explained, like he was always testing people's comfort levels with that kind of behavior. Because he was the boss, though, and he had no accountability, it just continued to happen. There was no one trusted to complain to. And this just sounds like one of the worst nightmare workplace stories that I could ever imagine. Okay, and you know, surprise, surprise, it's Steven Crowder who is at the center of this. In addition to receiving unwanted sexual text messages, the former employee alleged that Crowder habitually exposed himself to other male staffers, a claim backed up by 2 other sources. So, put aside the groomer stuff, all of the, I was right. I was right everyone, all of the conservatives that came to my videos, everyone that came and said, look, I watch your content, but even I don't agree with this. Crowder's gay. He's gay. I was fucking right. I was right all along, so everyone that called me out on that was just, yeah, I was right, you're wrong. In regards to exposing himself in general, to my knowledge, he only exposed himself to male staffers. Only male staffers. It happened all the time. It was a regular occurrence. It usually happened when he was in a really good, sort of manic mood. So while we were all disgusted by it and it was never welcome, it was preferable to him being in a bad mood and how he treated people in that state. This is crazy. This is absolutely wild that these people that worked for Steven Crowder would literally rather him come up and expose himself without any warning, literally flash them, show them his genitalia. They would rather have that happen than him be in a bad mood. That is terrible. That's fucking awful. And I think that Steven Crowder video of him and his wife tells us everything we need to know about who Steven Crowder really is as a person. Steven never explained it. We never talked about it. It would just happen, and everyone would either throw out a fake, uncomfortable laugh or show clear disgust, which Steven interpreted as his reward for what he did. He continued, the more disgusted everyone seemed, the more pleasure he seemed to get from it. It's like he couldn't understand we weren't in on his joke. In response to a request from comment, Louder with Crowder CEO Gerald Morgan Jr. told Mediaite, while Louder with Crowder does not provide details on personal, private medical matters or personnel issues, it is important to note that many of these claims are missing context. What's the missing context of him pulling his fucking cock and balls out to people that don't want to see it? There's no missing context there. I don't care what the fuck you can add to that story. There's no missing context. If you're pulling your cock and balls out to people that don't want to see it, that shit is, you can't flash people. You can't expose yourself. There's laws against that shit. You can't expose yourself, okay? That's not allowed. It's not allowed. Clear misrepresentations or outright falsehoods The most generic, most basic ABC PR response that possibly could have been given by anybody. I mean, this is literally the most generic thing ever. Doesn't even refute any of the claims, really. Just says, well, I mean, some of it's true, but there's some stuff that you guys don't know about that would really make the story. I mean, it would make the story even better. I don't even know what the statement is. I don't know. I don't even know why they responded. If I was in this position right here, I don't know why I would be. But if I was the CEO of Louder with Crowder, I would have definitely declined to comment because this just makes it look worse, in my opinion. Another source close to Crowder also said that they witnessed him expose himself to male staff in the office, but chalked it up to childish behavior. I have pertinently listed that on one occasion, they said. My personal theory is that he is a man-child and just thinks it's funny, like boys in middle school playing pranks on each other in the locker room. I was a boy. I've been a boy my whole life, and I was in school. And when we were in the locker room, we weren't pulling our cock and balls out in front of each other. We just weren't doing that shit. So he can say it's childish behavior. No, even when we were 7th and 8th grade, we weren't pulling our cock and balls out like that in front of each other. That's not what we were doing. We just weren't doing that shit. Even when we were the most immature motherfuckers on the planet. When I was one of the most immature motherfuckers on the planet, I wasn't pulling my cock and balls out and exposing it to random people. I just wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing that. That, to me, seems to be his mentality. Could it be a power move? Possibly, they said. He does virtually nothing that a grown man should do for himself. Ouch. Wash his own laundry, prepare his own food, buy his own groceries. Most of the time, someone else does all that for him. So he's like a child that needs to be taken care of, and his humor reflects that type of childish behavior. God fucking damn. That was a lot. Another former employee said incidents of genital exposure in the workplace were so routine that they became almost unremarkable. The guys just talked about it amongst themselves, and I don't want to say it became normal, but it became less of a big deal. So it was at Steven Crowder's workplace. If you work for Louder with Crowder, you're probably going to see Steven's cock and balls because he thinks that's funny. He thinks it's funny. Only to the man, though. Only to the men. He only exposes himself to the male employees. So there's the case to be made that he was grooming employees, a former employee said. Stephen may excuse some of that, saying he was friends with some of his employees. I have friends and I don't pull out my cock and balls, guys. I don't know. I don't feel like this is something I need to be saying into this microphone right here, right now, but I have friends that are men and women. I don't pull my cock and balls out as a joke because that's not a joke. That's not funny. I can make a joke about a dick or balls, and that could be really hilarious, but I'm not pulling out my fucking cock. I'm not doing that. There are power dynamics at play regardless of how friendly you are with staff. And also, just don't send your penis in a message. So gross. Wow, at least this person said what is the only thing that's been on my mind. What are you doing? What are you doing? This is what a groomer looks like, ladies and gentlemen. This is what groomer behavior looks like. Steven Crowder, conservative commentator, groomer 101, okay? A different ex-staffer said Crowder would often make uncomfortable comments during a men's-only Bible study he held in 2021. Creeper alert, creeper warning. This part is the part of the story that I read before I got on. This part is really fucking weird. Just as weird as all the other stuff, but still really weird. The staffer said Crowder frequently remarked that, quote, men used to be more physically intimate with each other, unquote, and then, quote, would reference a passage from the Bible where Abraham's servant put his hand on Abraham's inner thigh to be closer to Abraham's descendants. Balls, unquote. Just a little quick message for Steven Crowder here. Steven, if you are gay, that is totally fine. You could just come out and say you're gay. You don't have to do all of this weird shit to get that point across. You don't have to literally be a groomer. You don't have to literally do illegal shit to, make it known that you're gay. You can come out and just say, like, I'm gay. You don't have to do this weird shit. This is really weird. Allegations of Crowder revealing his genitalia in the workplace were first reported by the New York Post. In response, Crowder mocked the allegations during a skit on the show. The Post report came in the wake of the publication of Ring video footage from Crowder's home, which showed him berating his then-pregnant wife, saying, I will fuck you up. The two are now embroiled in a bitter divorce, yet Crowder's alleged penchant for exhibitionism and angry outbursts are only a portion of the inappropriate workplace behavior described by sources who worked for the YouTube star. Multiple former staffers and a source close to Crowder claimed that the conservative firebrand would offer and ask staffers for prescription drugs like Klonopin, an anticonvulsant, used to treat seizures and is also prescribed to treat anxiety, as well as cannabis gummies and opiates like Percocet. I'm pretty sure Steven lives in I think he lives in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know about I do know about Percocets, but Steven, weed is not allowed. That's not allowed. You're breaking the law. Mediaite reviewed text exchanges between Crowder and former employees confirming these claims. Wow. Wow. So, Steven Crowder, and again, this isn't a surprise, everyone knew this, but is literally so far from the man he purports to be on his show. Wow. Not surprised. Steven was known for passing out prescription drugs fairly freely, one former employee alleged. What the fuck? What the fuck? It's surprising to the employees when your boss is offering and or asking for things like that, they said. However, because the work environment is so crazy, employees end up getting desensitized to the point where when things like that occur, it almost just seems normal. It's not until you actually step away for a bit that you realize how wrong these types of things are. Wow. And this is just I'm not going to go too much into detail, but I went to a private school my whole life. I only went to 2 different schools my whole life, and both of them were private schools. When I got into 4th grade, I went to a new private school, and that was the private school I went to the rest of my life. And when I was in school, at least when I was younger, a lot of really weird shit would happen, and I thought it was normal. And then I got older, I became more mature, my brain started to develop a little more, and now, especially now, almost everything that I look back on at that school, things that happened were just absolutely insane. And I am going to talk about some of this stuff more in detail in future videos because I do think it's really important, and I do think that there's a lot of things that happened at my school that they tried to hide from the media. But this mentality right here, it's not until you actually step away for a bit that you realize how wrong these types of things are, is so real. It resonates with me on so many different levels, so I'm glad that this person said that. The former employee who received genitalia photos from Crowder shared a similar sentiment about working for the YouTube star. We've often debated this. It's like any abusive relationship. When it's good, it can be really fun, they said. Most people enjoy the work itself. When it's bad, it's really bad, but over time, most become so numb to it, they don't see how messed up the place is until they get out. In the past, Crowder's troubles have prompted him to step away from the show. On December 10th, 2020, Crowder sent an email with the subject line, official notice, some life decisions, which announced to his staff that his plans to retire. In the lengthy message, Crowder apologized for his behavior. I mean, you can say, like, hey, I'm sorry I pulled my cock and balls out, or hey, I'm sorry I was trying to, like, give you, like, Percocets, and I was trying to, like, get these drugs and shit, and ask for them. Like, you can, like, say you're sorry for that, but that's not going to fix it. That's not going to fix anything. I hope everyone here understands just how much you mean to me and how sorry I am for falling short of my duties every time I've spoken out of anger or ego. Everyone here deserves better. Everyone here deserves a leader that they can believe in. And in real world results, I just don't think I'm the guy for the job. I love you all very much. Yada, yada, yada. Very, very basic bullshit from someone like Steven Crowder, one of the fakest people on the entire planet. 3 ex-staffers claim Crowder checked into Carlton Springs, a psychiatric and chemical dependency facility in Texas, shortly after that email was sent. Before long, though, Crowder returned to the show and continued to broadcast to his large audience. 3 years later, a source close to Crowder said, working for the scandal-embroiled host remains very stressful. It's like walking on eggshells most of the time. They said, most employees are overworked and underpaid. That's definitely not a surprise. Nothing is ever good enough. Office morale is extremely low, and many employees have stated that they want to give up and quit. And to any Steven Crowder employees that may be watching this video, I don't know. Maybe you are. I know that quitting your job can be extremely hard. One of the hardest things you might ever do. And I know that can be scary. And I know if you don't have another job lined up, that can be extremely scary because you don't know if you're going to be able to have money to eat in the next couple of weeks. You don't know if you're going to have somewhere to stay in the next couple of weeks or months or days. But I can just tell you, it's not worth it, okay? It is not worth the paycheck. It's not worth going through all of this. It is not worth your mental health. It is not worth sacrificing your mental well-being to work at this job, even if this was your dream job, okay? You wanted to work for Steven Crowder. You wanted to work for conservative media or a media company like this, production, whatever you're doing. I am telling you, no matter what, it is not worth you sacrificing your mental health. And then the worse your mental health gets, the worse your physical health can get. That's going to be it for the video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, press that little bell, turn on auto notifications so you guys never miss an upload. Please, 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 please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you thought of the story. Let me know what you think of Steven Crowder. Let me know what you think about everything that I talked about in this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.